Hi everyone, Jody Hand, Mrs. Hand Painted, and thanks for checking out my YouTube channel of watercolor tutorials. In today's video, I'll be showing you a really easy and beginner painting that you can try out using just 3 colors. You'll want to do a cool color collection of yellow, blue, and a pink or red. I'm using lemon yellow, ultramarine blue, and quinacridone rose from my colors. Pretty much any palette that you have will have a cool set of yellow, blue, and pink or red. So why don't you try that out to try mixing these colors together to make these bubbles. This is really fun. We're gonna do some splatter on our paper and then do wet and wet to make these really prismatic marbled bubbles that look like they're really reflective and rainbow prismatic. So have fun painting along with me, and if you want to share your art with me, you can find me on Instagram, Mrs. Hand Painted, and why don't you tag me in your paintings and let me know what you thought of my tutorial video. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming tutorials. Have a great day and have fun painting with me. Oh yeah, I'll just quickly go over what supplies I'm going to use here. This is a sheet of Fluid 100 watercolor paper. It's 100% cotton. It's made by Speedball Arts. And you can buy it in little packs with individual sheets, or you can buy watercolor blocks of this paper as well. So this is just a sheet size 8 by 10. I'm going to use my Princeton Neptune round 8 brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. And I've got my Smith Watercolors with my paint palette, my water bucket, my paper towel. I'm ready to go. Today I'm only going to be using 3 colors to do these bubbles. I'll use my lemon yellow, or just any kind of light yellow you have, like permanent yellow light, something like that. We're just going to do 3 primary colors, but they're going to be the cool colors. So I want to use that lemon yellow, I'm going to use ultramarine blue, and then a quinacridone rose. So if you have like a permanent rose, something that's like that really cool, more pink, pink red. So here I've got my quinacridone rose, some ultramarine, and a little dot of indigo got dropped onto my lemon yellow to wipe it off. Okay, and some lemon yellow. All right, so we are mainly going to use that ultramarine blue, and then we're going to dot in the pink and the yellow just to make fun, really cool bubbles that the colors just kind of bleed together. So it's going to be a little fun with wet and wet techniques. Okay, so to start out, I am going to just kind of do some little splatters across my paper. I'm going to take my blue and my pink and my yellow, and I'm just going to do some random splatters. So remember the rule of if there's more water on your brush, the bigger your splatters will be. So I'm just going to use this to kind of go off of where my bubbles are going to be, and then this will just give me some extra little bits to go off of here. Okay, so now I'm going to rinse my brush off, get some clean water, and I'm going to start making some random circle shapes around here, and then we can just go as you want, just around and adding. We can add some kind of together. So I'm just going to start here, and I'm just going to make a circle. And I'm going to pick up some of that color that was on my paper from my splatters. And if you don't want to do the splatters and you just want to do straight bubbles without the little background, that's fine. Just go ahead and skip that part, and then you'll have to dip in your colors that way. So here I want to add in a little bit more blue, and then some pink maybe dot in there. And we're going to use our brush to push this around. Now when you're going back and rinsing your brush, to avoid adding more and more water to this so we don't end up with a big circle puddle, you'll want to dry your brush off between rinses. We just want these colors to kind of blend together, because when you look at a bubble, all the light's reflecting off and you get all these rainbows of colors. So I'm going for that kind of an effect. I do want to avoid putting yellow in here where this blue and this pink is mixed together, because you'll end up with just a muddy brown. So when you're mixing these colors in, just be aware that you don't want to have all 3 colors all blended together. You just want to have like the blue with the yellow, the red with the yellow, or the blue with the pink, or the blue with the, so that you don't have those tertiary or secondary colors mixing with another secondary color, because you will end up with some funky brown colors if you're not careful. All right, so I want to get a little light reflection point on this. So what I'm going to do is actually lift a little bit of my paint. So I'm going to rinse my brush off and dry it. And then while this is still wet, I'm going to just lift some off to reveal more of the white paper here. I'm just going to try and give this a little bit more of a reflection point, and then we can add a little bit more paint just kind of around that edge that I dried, just to give me more of a reflection there. All right, I'm going to pick another spot here. Make a smaller bubble right here. And I've already got quite a bit of yellow that blended from that one, so I don't want to add too much more of that color in there. Mostly want the blue. And you can see, I don't know if you can see here, I've got quite a little pond of water here, so I'm going to lift some of this water up and wipe it off on my paper towel a bit.
I'm having trouble connecting to the internet. Take a look at the help section in your Alexa app.
Okay, that was Alexa telling me my internet went out. Okay, so I'm just pushing that around, drying my brush off a bit. Just going to lift some of that, get a little more pink maybe, just dot that in there. Notice I'm barely putting any color into there. I'm just moving that around with my brush. Okay. Try and lift a little bit more off there for the reflective part, but it's not going out of there too much. All right, if we don't want to try and lift so much paint out of there, we can actually, when we go to make our circle, just leave a dry part there, and then we can try to do our reflection point that way. I'm going to try and just even that side out. It was a little bumpy. Okay, I think I'm going to add another bubble here. And it is kind of hard to see if you're trying to leave a dry spot for a reflection. It's a little hard to see. So sometimes you may want to just put it down with a little bit of blue on your brush. And the main color we are trying to go for is mostly the blue, but then we'll just dot in some of this yellow and pink there. It's an alternative way to try this, so I'll just dot in a little bit more pink over here. A little yellow over here. And I'm just using my brush to just push that color around. Bubble over here. This time I just put a tiny bit of the ultramarine blue in my brush before I got my water, just to give me a chance to see where I'm putting that down. I'm just trying to get as close to a circle as I can here. Dip a little bit of this pink in it. It looks a little more purple, but and we'll dot tiniest bit of yellow up there. I'm going to lift a little bit more off there. Okay, so now I've got quite a few big bubbles. I'm going to try and put a few smaller ones in here now. I'm going to mostly just start with a very, very diluted ultramarine here. And then a little bit more of that rose. Just put tiniest little amounts of that in there. push that color around. Okay. Alright, let's do a double bubble up here. We're going to do a big bubble with kind of a medium-sized bubble coming off of its edge. So I'm just going to get super diluted blue here. Alright, and you may notice that I put all of my reflection points on the same sides of the bubbles. They're all on this upper left-hand side of my bubble because I want the light to be all coming from one direction. So here I made a big bubble. I've got my reflection line. I'm going to dip some pink in there, just kind of randomly around there. Give me my prismatic rainbowy bubble. Get a little bit of yellow to dot in there. Alright, and then use my damp brush to just kind of push that color around. And just as you're going over it, if you see any spots that have kind of ponded up water, just try to smooth that out so you don't end up with a bunch of blooms or those really feathery. See here I have like really feathery texture. I don't really want that, so it is a really neat effect, but if you're not wanting it and something can blend out with a wet or a damp brush. So, alright, I want to do a double bubble over here. So I'm going to get a little bit more blue here. Really, really diluted blue. And I'm just going to have kind of like the half sphere coming out from the side. Ooh, that is way too blue. Alright, I'm going to get some water and just push that color around here. Alright, so that's coming out from the side of that bubble. I'll get my other two colors here to dip in there. Okay, and then I'll use my damp brush to just push that color around. Nice little prismatic looking bubble there. And I think to finish that off, I think I want to add like one smaller bubble right over here. It just seems a little bare over here. Do kind of a small bubble right there. And that is a little bit too much blue, so I'll lift some of that off. Started getting a little less diluted over here by accident. Okay. Dip a little pink in there. Dip a tiny bit of yellow in there. Alright, there we go. There's a really fun little bubble picture that you can do. I think this would look really nice hanging up in your bathroom, for your bathtub, or your laundry room. Many places you use soap. I think that would be fun to do some fun bubbles. And this is something that you can just experiment with and really try to find some different little marbled colors. If you, like here, these first couple that I decided to not do that empty space, the white area on my reflection has kind of gone away, and if you really wanted to, you could go back over that with a little bit of like bleed proof white or white gouache if you wanted to add in a little bit more of a reflection. But overall, I'm happy with the bubbles, and they don't really need it. They don't all need to have that reflective little circle on it. It does help make them look a little more circular, but for the most part, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and it just gives you an idea of how you can paint some really bubbles and give them that rainbow effect. So I hope you had fun painting along with me, and make sure you subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos.